Take it from me, kids. Never start anything. Just shelter yourself. Take me, for example. I have never left the confines of this rectangle that you see in front of you. And I do, in fact, not exist. Send help! In previous videos, I've bemoaned the fact that I tend to get into things long after they're popular. Don't do this. The chance of you getting into said thing for any reason is always there, and not hopping on this opportunity will always hurt. Whether it's because of spoilers, missing out on the conversation, or because resold toys are super hecking expensive, it's just simply not recommended. So that's mostly for things as they come out. Help for franchises that have been going on for decades. It really depends on the media. Star Wars has been going on for 40 years, but excluding all written material, it's decently manageable. Heck, I made my way through all 15 or so animated shows in less than 3 months. Comics are a bit hard to find a starting point, but combined with how short they are and how they tend to be rebooted every couple of years, you should be able to find a pretty easy starting point. Heck, some stuff you can just jump in at any moment. Muppets, Looney Tunes, Pokemon, Mario. You can get into these at any point and understand it as much as someone who has watched or played every single piece of media from these. But then there's the opposite. The oldest balls things that just refuse to die. Stuff like, say, Star Trek and Doctor Who. There's 871 Doctor Who episodes spanning 60 years. Also, almost 100 of those are lost. Because frick you! Never understand the full grasp of why David Tennant Doctor had such a titanic chokehold on culture. Come on guys, he's not even the hottest character he played. But the undisputed king of, I could either watch this or I could pretend to leave my house, is anime. I was born in 1999, which is one of the last years you could really decide if you want to dedicate your life to these longest frick anime series. Stuff like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Bleach, and One Piece were all either just starting or only a few years into their runs. So if I wanted to, I could have probably dove into them, but I was a stupid dumb kid, so those blew past me, besides Pokemon. For a majority of my life, I had no interest in anime. And when I did, all of these shows already had around 20 years or so, yet still had material coming. So I just shrugged and decided to be interested in them. I'm in averse debating. It's physically impossible to get into that, and also being bombarded with the fact that Vegeta farted and it blew up 50 bajillion galaxies. I just made peace with how I would never watch any of these. Then flash back to October 2022. In preparation for my top 35 anime list, I asked for some anime I absolutely had to watch to make it. Most were relatively recent, and generally less than 40 episodes. And then there was my friend Krax. He woke up that day, adjusted his headband, balanced his chakras, and chose violence. So I'm sure I don't gotta explain what Naruto is to you. It's one of the longest running and longest lasting anime series, and was a lot of people's introduction to the medium. It's also long as frick. There's 3 series, multiple movies, some OVAs, and of course a manga. I've seen most besides Boruto and the manga, but I'm gonna just mostly stick to the original Shippuden. Maybe I'll get to the other stuff eventually, but I'm just a bit Naruto'd out right now. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If you don't know what this show is by now, it's about Naruto and several other young wannabe shinobis trying to become the best ever, when slowly but surely, villains try to attack the village and the whole thing happens. I have of course been aware of this show for a long time, but thinking on it, honestly, there's not much I knew about it before watching. I didn't know most of the plot or deeper bits about the characters. Everything I knew came from memes, Death Battle, Super Smash Bros. 2, and Sinus's video on Naruto and Fortnite, where he had me dance around as Naruto, but I had to bully him into even crediting me. I saw Oblivion, and it was trembling at my presence. But these have all given me an extreme interest in the show, but I was never given it the time. But hey, now I have. So not entirely sure how to cover this. Spoilers, obviously, but it's really hard to cram 720 episodes into one video. So this will mostly be a highlight reel, I guess. Just my brief overlooking thoughts. There were things I was curious about from hearing about it from other people though, and hopefully I can answer some of those questions myself. For example, back in the early internet days, people hated Sakura and Sasuke. For Sakura, it's because of her being so abusive to Naruto and never really getting called out for it, alongside being kinda useless. And for Sasuke, it's because he was seen as super edgy and tryhard. So hopefully, I can see if these are true or not, or just exaggerated. Oh, extremely important. Back in the heyday of Among Us memes, yes, this is relevant. I saw this meme, and I just kind of forgot about it afterward. Just one in a sea of overused sus jokes. But then, I started this show, and I was physically incapable of hearing Sasuke's name as anything but Sasuke. So, henceforth, I will exclusively be referring to him as such. Oh, and since I'm mentioning hearing stuff, I'll admit, I watched a dub. Yes, I know, I'm scum. I've already got several missiles locked directly into my location. It's time to do this! I wish I could leave the rectangle! Listen, I'll usually watch the sub for most anime, but when I'm watching over 700 episodes of the same thing, I want to be able to sneeze once in a while still being able to follow it. And hey, I even recognize a lot of the voice actors. Even if it means every time I hear Sasuke talk, I keep expecting him to pull the Omnitrix and turn into Swampfire. Actually, now that I say that, it's kind of funny that Yuri Lowenthal voices both Ben and Sasuke, since he's being chased down by Orochimaru, who's voiced by Steve Blum, who voices Vilgax. The parallels. I was hacking parallel, my guy. Anyways, I can go on with voice actor trivia. Trust me, there's more. But I think I've stalled long enough. Let's finally talk about Naruto. So, how exactly do I tackle this? This will definitely be different from my previous reviews, and I don't think my normal style works for this. I guess I'll very loosely walk myself through the entire show, and hit some points on the way. The show itself actually starts off incredibly strong. Naruto himself is introduced as a bit of a slacking prankster, one thing leads to another, and Naruto finds himself at the Ninja Academy. We're introduced to like 5 million different characters. Jesus Christ, there's so many characters in this show. If I had $1 for every even half important character on the show, I could probably buy a carton of milk after inflation. But in the beginning here, we're introduced to 2 major parts of the series: the Jutsu power system and the ranking system. Jutsu is split into 3 main different sections: Genjutsu, which is illusion-based; Taijutsu, which is based on natural abilities the user has; and Ninjutsu, which is the everything in the kitchen sink jutsu. Yeah, I think it's a bit weird that Ninjutsu is so loose compared to others, and yeah, there's a ton more, but I think this is a pretty good power system. It's pretty easy to understand, but very good enough to allow pretty much every single character to have a different ability they excel at. I do think a lot of the abilities are super generic and could be pushed farther, and there's not a lot of interactions between the jutsus or direct counters, at least not much I would like. This is done far better in the best use of shonen style power system, Scoop and Shag. There is a specific jutsu I should talk about later, but I'll save that for later. I said later twice. The ninja ranks are great. They just add so much to this world. It's one of the best uses of an obvious power creep symbol without being too obvious or complex. They're just so well executed. I genuinely thought these were ranks that might have been from actual ninja folklore and not just made up for the show. But as it turns out, I know nothing about history. I'm not going to go part by part. In fact, I won't be covering most individual arcs, but I should mention what I've seen most claimed as the best arc in the show: the Mist Village arc, aka the Zabuzu arc, or the Land of Waves arc. I personally don't have a favorite arc, and I mean, I hope to God one of the very first parts in a long and thick show isn't the best, but I can definitely understand its popularity. It was the proper introduction to Kakashi and his abilities, who's arguably the most popular character in the show. It's a pretty perfect setup to the story you're about to fully experience, both the cool stuff and the reminder that this is a show technically about child soldiers in war, which isn't super cool. And Zabuzu is no Zabozo. He's a great first real antagonist. Again, can't pick a definitive favorite arc, but this is pretty great. Looking back at the original series, it's really just a long setup for Shippuden. Not bad by any means, but Shippuden really takes everything to much more proper extremes. It really executes everything as intended. Well, this is just more so we can connect to these characters and understand them before really pushing them. That's an important factor, especially since, again, there's millions upon millions of characters here. I guess I can try to talk about some of them. I really like the supporting cast of Naruto. At first, the various other trainees that join Naruto felt very one note. Hinata has a crush on Naruto, Choji eats a lot, Garo is a Hot Topic regular, Rock Lee is a little scrimblow who tries his hardest despite being a dork, etc. While of them develop into more than just one trait, though it takes some longer than others. Rock Lee, for example, was always great. I love his interactions with Mic Guy. These two are the biggest dorks ever created, but I love just how genuinely nice they are. They're a treat whenever they're on screen. Garo, though, I don't know, I just felt like he was underused, which is surprising because I know he's a huge fan favorite. He's not bad, but he really didn't do enough to leave an impression on me. Oh, I guess I can address Sakura as well. I can see why people don't like her, but I don't think she's that bad. Yes, her attacking Naruto is done way too often, usually for no good reason, and she does obsess over Sasuke way too often, despite not having super great chemistry with him. But she really isn't useless. She does a lot with what she's got, is an extremely capable fighter. When she's not decking Naruto in the face, she's usually a fun character. I do think she suffers from something I've heard about the show that sadly came true, how the manga really struggled to write female characters, something even he's admitted. I know shonen manga and anime are aimed at teen boys, but like, all the female characters here have potential. They all have fun personalities and cool abilities and great designs, but tend to more or less revolve around other characters than be characters themselves, Hinata being the most glaring. I really like what they were setting up with Tsunade. I love the idea of this woman who is completely split between being a complete ditz when it comes to basic things and common sense, but also an extremely competent shinobi and the next head of the village. After the original series, she just kind of dips out of the show. Like, she's still there, but she never does anything. Cringe! But hey, at least she has a really fun dynamic with Jiraiya, a character who, The second I saw him on screen, I was convinced I was gonna hate. Perfect characters walk a fine line. It's a delicate line between being really funny and Banana My Hero Academia. But the more and more he appears, I really start to love Jiraiya. I love how he jumps from being a perv to epic fighter to a wise mentor all the time, yet very seamlessly. I don't like having a grown man having a nosebleed over a 13-year-old transform into a girl though, that's mega cringe. Actually, gotta be honest, I got really tired of sexy jutsu. It was a fine enough joke, but god, I got tired of how it seems like every single filler episode, or every single introduction to a character, you get the obligatory sexy jutsu transformation from Naruto, and someone's gotta stop talking and then yell and fall over with a nosebleed. I know this is just normal anime shenanigans, doesn't mean I gotta like it. Also, I hate the 3 kids who literally only exist to use this ability. You know me, #1 advocate for murder of children in a fictional context, and these 2 are at the top of my list. There are more characters I want to bring up, but I do briefly want to bring up the soundtrack. I usually don't notice instrumental music in shows, but Naruto, the dub at least, I don't know if it's different between the original, please tell me, has some of the most memorable tracks I've ever heard, all of which perfectly fit to the scenes they're in, and I find myself humming them a lot. Like, Restaurant, and this is where I'm going to stop that gag because I'm not good at singing. I should also talk about the big 3 antagonists of the original series, Orochimaru, Itachi, and Sasuke. I'll definitely get more into these 3 in the Shippuden segment, since that adds a lot to their arcs, but for now, I think all 3 are pretty great villains in their own right. Sasuke really doesn't become a full antagonist until Shippuden, but at the start, he's a pretty good foil to Naruto. And like every single rival in a shonen, he does a good job at inspiring Naruto to go further beyond plus ultra 5th gear. While I will have more to say about him later, I will say now, the whole edgy thing really means nothing. It's a funny joke, but like, he's just a little broody, not to the extremes I was expecting. I assume this is just because this came out in the Shadow the Hedgehog, Hot Topic, evil, killer, edgy, dark, edgy, evil, brooding Invader Zim era. Oh, and also here Naruto are gay. I don't care how overused this joke is. It's more apparent in Shippuden, but literally every single time they mention each other, you just know they're just desperately want to kiss the frick out of each other. Itachi is Sasuke's older brother, and also a mass murderer, responsible for killing almost his entire clan. Still not as bad as my sister. She lied to me and says she watches my channel. She does not. He's not extremely notable as of now, besides for that scene where he choked Sasuke that literally opened a portal throwing me back into 2019, but just kind of keep him in your mind. Orochimaru serves as this main antagonist of the original series. I'll spoil a bit of this video and say I'm not super into how his story ends, but for a series only, he's great. Dude's so creepy, but I love the grand way he carries himself, how he keeps one-upping the heroes, how he refuses to keep his tongue in his mouth, which I feel like almost certainly has to at least something in someone, and that, in the end, he does manage to kidnap Sasuke. Then he disappears. And then we reach filler heck. Starting with episode 136, almost half of the series, almost every single episode is a filler episode. Now the term filler is kind of overused nowadays, but the original meaning is for anime that were ahead of their manga, so they had to throw it together something random. Oops, we need an episode, but the manga isn't updated yet. Let's have Goku get his driver's license. This does fall into that, buying time till Shippuden, but like, it's not bad. I like seeing more of these characters, and I mean, where else are you going to, where you get to see Naruto pee on Ino as an obese Johnny Bravo watches? Besides my fever dreams, I think there's some good here, but also, Naruto, stop freaking around. Snake Eyes throwing his tongue around Yoshi style, doing God knows what to Sasuke. Get your head out of your booty hole and save him! Yeah, it's just so strange that every character is like, oh my damn it, we desperately need to save Sasuke! Anyway, she was up for pizza, but eventually, they did realize, oh yeah, we do have a story. So I gotta say, Shippuden is a very clear improvement. It is so detailed and so good, and Shippuden is a clear evolution of the original. Most of the characters are pushed to their limits. The action is more intense. Again, the first series was set up for this. But it's long. It's ridiculously long. It only aired for a decade, but it's almost double the amount of episodes of SpongeBob, which has been going on for double the time. I guarantee I'm gonna miss some stuff because of that. Feel free to ask me about thoughts on anything I missed, but for now, let's again look at the bullet points. How does he do that? I like that there's a slow but noticeable evolution between the lighter elements of the first series to this one. This is, after all, again, about children in war, so it makes sense to eventually stop pulling punches, even with the visuals becoming slowly darker. Not to an edgy degree though, this is to the part where Hulk Hogan knockoff that speaks exclusively in rap appears. Actually, on the topic KRB, I expected him to just be some random mini-boss Sasuke and co. take down during their missions, but he's actually a major character throughout the series, being one of Naruto's mentors as he has 8 tails. I'll talk about tail beasts soon. And that leads him to being ostracized, but he still aims to protect his village and become the best rapper. Honestly, I'd say he's probably my favorite mentor. I know I complain about the length a lot, but they didn't really do the most with it. A lot of the old characters finally get some screen time, like Choji's arc that leads him to becoming a big boy, or how one of the final arcs is focused on Shikamaru of all characters. I appreciate that even near the end, they're still giving us some spotlights on characters who need it. And also, I like the whole thing with the tail beasts. The lore that adds to the show is super cool. Again, it's a good measuring stick for how Naruto evolves. And 10 tails is a good way to tie everything together, but that's for later. I was spoiled on some things though, like pretty much everything but the 4th Hokage. After some other twists though, well, I should go back to some of the biggest arcs. Actually, I think the best way to address the arcs is by talking about a huge part of the series and, well, most shonens, the villains. The series is well known for having some of the best and most iconic villains in all of anime. I think that, for the most part, that's fair. They've all got some great designs, and all of them, from the arc villains to the random mini-bosses, tend to leave a huge impact in their time on screen. But also, a lot tend to have an asterisk next to them. I'll address that as we go through. I'll ease into that though by defending a character I know has mixed reception, but is also my favorite character in the series, Obito. Obito was once a friend of Kakashi and Rin, but seemingly died in a fight. It's then revealed that he's alive under the guise of Tobi and working for Madara. In the end, despite what he's done, he does eventually turn on Madara and help Naruto squad. He's an extremely fun character to watch, as he always seems to be able to get his way out of anything. Even when initially outwitted, he can always turn things around. He makes Star Wars sounds for some reason. I think overall he has a satisfying arc, but I do have to address the elephant in the room, the reasons for being evil. His girlfriend, Rin, dies. Now it's genocide time, baby! Yeah, that sounds weak, but 1, a ton of other villains have this excuse. I never see them getting called out for it. And 2, he was looked down upon by pretty much everyone besides Rin, Kakashi, and his grandmother, who is an anime-exclusive character. She's orphaned from the manga. So it's more so Rin's death pushed him to despair, and the circumstances pushed him to be evil. If you have problems with him, feel free to still have them, but I still like him. I mean, he definitely could have been written a bit better to avoid all his problems, but in the end, I still like him. I don't have much to say about the rest of the Akatsuki. They're all fine enough mini-boss villains. Here's how to rank them. Only one super sticks out to me is Deidara. I don't know, I just thought it was funny how he tries to be this crazy psychopath, but he's just a complete loser. Also, he dies by inflating and popping like a balloon. He's voiced by brother Craig Smith, so this technically counts as Sonic inflation. But the first big villain and arc to talk about is Pain, aka Nagato. That should be the other way around. Pain is easier to say, and is shorter, and in this long and strict video, not saying 2 syllables saves a lot. He starts as kind of the first big threat besides Orochimaru. He's a great villain. His story of being an orphan that later founded the Akatsuki is great. His powers are cool, and dude, that fight with Jiraiya still feels like a gut punch, despite knowing that he's fine. And his coming to the senses work, but yeah, I've been avoiding that for a while. I kept seeing this meme that Naruto has this talk no jutsu, where you can just talk a villain out of being evil. I was genuinely brainwashed into thinking this was a real move he had. But while that's not part of his power set, it might as well be. Whether it be convincing his friends to do cool stuff, or talking several villains into becoming good, or getting the literal embodiment of hate to care for the world, just by hitting them with a hanging cat poster, Naruto can pretty much do anything. As one of the 3 people who still like Steven Universe, this doesn't bother me. But for a show that's far more murdery, it's kind of funny to see Naruto suddenly tell Obito and Pain and Gaara and Sasuke just stop being cringe, and they actually listen. So while I like most of the villains, I will never understand Danzo. Dude feels like he's behind everything, yet leaves absolutely no impact. Like, he's literally the person who ordered the genocide of the Uchiha clan, and he's a more personal antagonist to Sasuke than both Orochimaru and even Naruto. Yet he appears mostly in filler episodes, and leaves no impression on me whatsoever. Also, he's manipulating a dude named Hanzo, and his name is Danzo? That's some Luigi Waluigi tomfoolery right there. Oh, but watch out! Behind them is someone else, someone far more sinister. Gonzo. And hey, since I'm talking about stuff I'm not really into, what they did with Orochimaru, I feel like you can redeem most characters if you put effort into it, and they just didn't do that with the Snake Boy. You don't have a guy who threatens to do God knows what with a tongue the size of a watermelon to a 14-year-old just say, I guess I'm not evil anymore, and then he just kind of dips it from the show. I get it, Park Creek left him in the dust. We have to deal with bigger threats like Madara and Kaguya, and his main reason for existing is to take Sasuke from the group. And once he returns, that kind of renders him unnecessary. But I feel like you could have done more besides him just kind of shrugging and then have him disappear faster than my hopes for a better life. Also, his giant snake form looks stupid. Sorry, not sorry. And similarly, I don't get hate for this, but I'm really mixed on Madara. He's got one of the absolute sickest designs ever. His abilities are super cool. That fight between him and Might Guy is hands down my favorite fight in the show. I love seeing Might Guy go serious and use 8th Gate, while Madara still remains on top of everything. And yeah, he's always one step ahead, and is nearly unstoppable. No one can stagger him. There's two things holding him back for me. For one, this is definitely a problem with the arc and not him, but I really don't like that after killing all these characters, suddenly, everyone is here. Yes, okay. You can't have a war if it's just the entire ninja world versus one pointy-haired headband, gray ghost-looking motherfucker and his floating balls. It makes sense to beef up his army and give him some revived guys. But like, everyone? I know death means as much in shonen as it means in comics, as in it doesn't, but that's just really lame. Yeah, he didn't do it, but it's his arc, so frick you, Madara, get guilt by association. Oh, and before we get to the second Madara problem, we hit a second filler hexscape. Is it bad?
This proves that there's an imposter among us.
Ah! Yeah, it's still fine. Pretty much everything I saw with the filler in the original series holds up here. I just like seeing more of these characters. But back to Ghost Daddy. Madara is constantly built up as completely untouchable. Dude is always a step ahead. Dominates every fight he's in. He is unstoppable. Madara is completely built up as untouchable. But now, there's nowhere to run. He has to fight Naruto and Sasuke. They're squaring up, and... Wait, what's that? No, it's not possible. Oh my god, oh my god, it's Black Zetsu coming with a steel chair! Yep, the main villain in the series. One who's been constantly built up and shown as above all others, gets one shot before the heroes can even throw a punch. I know Madara is ridiculously popular, but I gotta admit, I'm really not into him. So much setup for nothing. But whatever, Zetsu kicks him over, and he unleashes the final villain, Kaguya Otsutsuki. Her reveal absolutely horrifies everyone, besides Kakashi, who looks like he couldn't give a fraction of a frick. She's fine. I think she looks cool. I like her powers. I like that she pretty much always talks in this tranquil fury-like tone. I like that she's her sons in Naruto and Sasuke. And overall, her backstory is good. But I just don't get into her. While she was properly set up, I can't get over thinking that she just wasn't the proper pick for a real final threat to Naruto, and that she completely overshadows Madara. But hey, thanks to some help from Obito and Kakashi, and Naruto and Sasuke finally confessing their love and joining together, they finally beat her and saved the world. But hey, now they're finally on the same side. They finally work together, and Sasuke is evil again. Okay, I should really address the Sasuke-Itachi's relationship. I like how Sasuke's relationship with Itachi evolves as the show goes on, slowly finding out more about his own childhood and that his brother is actually better than he thought, despite doing a little genocide. I do like that Itachi slowly is revealed to be not as bad and has reasons for everything he does, and that, in turn, slowly moves Sasuke more into being a good guy, and that feels pretty natural. But him suddenly going back to being evil after the Fourth War just felt like we're really doing this moment to me. It's patched up quickly enough though. I think that besides this, Sasuke's arc is pretty well done and natural, and it ends with him and Naruto recreating Pig Fiction. That finally leads us to the final arc of the show, the wedding arc. I really like this. It's nice to get an arc that's just something simple like this. And it's honestly a gutsy move to not have Naruto appear for almost his entire arc until the end. It's a nice calmer arc. I like seeing all the characters appear one last time, and seeing what we get from Naruto for his wedding. I was spoiled Naruto marrying Hinata, and Sasuke marrying Sakura, which means yes, sadly, no Naruto and Sasuke ship. This is one giving this 2 out of 10. Yes, I give number ratings now. Really surprised Sakura and Sasuke didn't get any real focus in this arc, despite arguably having more build-up than Naruto. Heck, we didn't get to see who the other characters end up with, needing Boruto to fill that in. Still, this was a satisfying conclusion. I do think that Shippuden is better than the original, but I would say both are pretty good. Also, like S-tier pause frames, I love that I can find so many of these. So, Naruto. It is an anime. I really like it, and I'm super glad to finally mark this off my to-do list. Like, I understand so many memes now. I have so much power, but I have a lot of trouble suggesting this show. I mean, you gotta respect the thing that fueled Sony Linkin Park any of these. But also, I assume even my viewers have a life. I know I keep going on about length, but there's a reason why. It's really hard to recommend a show that's in spitting distance of The Simpsons in episodes. If you want to dedicate what took me 6 months to do, you're in for a fun time with well-animated action and great characters. But that doesn't change that this is, again, a major time sink. I haven't watched any new anime this year, and I put all my stock into this absurdly huge basket. Listen, Michael B. Jordan, I love you. You're clinically insane. I really don't know what to make your gateway anime, but while this is hypothetically a good pick, it's not super weird or anything, I genuinely cannot say to someone, yeah, watch this 720 episode show for your first anime. With all that behind me though, I am genuinely really happy I finally watched the show. It's something I've been interested in for a while, so now I can finally close this scroll. Never have to come back to, oh come on! But yeah, I'm super glad to be into Naruto now. I am a Naruto connoisseur. I am a Naruto superfan. I have a Naruto fetish. The next thing I'm going to experience is Bleach. And I don't mean the show. But God, after this, I never want to see Ninja again. So, at the end of this video, peace, and come back next time when I cover the 2012 iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja FUCK!
The first new issue of the Makeout series in 3 years.